All right, hello and welcome to a presentation series on preparing for the AICP examination. This material and presentation is brought to you by planningprep.com and Housel Levine Associates. This series of videos is to help train and prepare planning candidates to take the AICP certification exam. I'm John Housel, together with Devin Levine and Trevor Dick. We will bringing you a 9-part series on training for the exam. The course outline that we're going to be going over the entire series. Part A is an introduction, which will be included in this video. Part B will be how to begin to prepare for the examination. It will be also included in this initial video. And then this will be followed by a series of videos that will go over the content review section by section, organized on how the APA has the examination organized by category. Those 9 categories are research and assessment methods, fundamental planning knowledge, communication and interaction, plan and policy development, plan implementation, administration and management, leadership, areas of practice, and lastly, the AICP Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct. Again, each of these will be covered by myself, Devin, or Trevor over the series of videos. This first part, Part A, is just a preliminary introduction into the series and the people who will be presenting you the material throughout. Again, just as a brief introduction, my name is John Housel. I'm a fellow of the American Institute of Certified Planners, FAICP. Principal and founder of Housel Levine Associates, together with Devin Levine. I've got approximately 25 years of professional experience in both the public and private sectors. My undergraduate degree is in environmental science from University of Michigan. My master's degree is from Arizona State University in environmental planning. The other presenters and other videos as part of this series are Devin Levine, also FAICP and Lead AP. Devin and I founded Housel Levine Associates about 17 years ago, so he's a principal and founder. Devin also has about 25 years of experience and has a BS in Urban and Regional Planning from Ryerson University in Toronto. The other presenter is Trevor Dick, AICP and Lead AP. Trevor is currently the Assistant Director of Economic Development for the City of Aurora here in Illinois. Trevor has about 25 years of public and private sector experience as well. He also has been the Illinois Professional Development Officer, or PDO, for the state chapter, Illinois state chapter of the APA from 2013 to 2021. For his work as the Illinois PDO, he received the National Lynn Jorgensen Leadership Award for PDOs in 2020, so congratulations to Trevor. And he was in school with Devin, and I think was Devin's college roommate, also getting a BS in Urban and Regional Planning at Ryerson University in Toronto. So that's the group of 3 people that are going to be presenting this material to you over the course of these videos. So real quickly, a little bit about planningprep.com. Planningprep.com, it's a free website. It was originally developed and designed and created by Devin and Trevor more than 20 years ago as a source for people to study online to prepare for the AICP exam. When they took the exam, there really wasn't a lot of study prep or exam prep materials or content available, and what was available was pretty limited and only in person. So Devin and Trevor built Planning Prep website. It has since evolved since then, but those 2 were the ones who created it. Members to the website have access to a growing database of practice questions, practice exams, and links to related materials where you can read more about certain planning related topics. Planning Prep currently has 1,600, just over 1,600 practice questions and over 12 practice exams. They're refreshed, and it provides a pretty broad base for testing and planning knowledge for people preparing for the exam. Each question on the 12 exams contains an explanation of the correct answer. So if B is the correct answer, we won't just say B is the correct answer and move on. It'll explain why B is the correct answer, and we'll provide links to follow-up reading material where you can learn more about the topic. And links to further reading material are also provided for every question, so you can find, again, more information on the topic, whether it be food insecurity, sustainability, equity, whatever the topic happens to be. Statistics are built into the Planning Prep website. So as you take and answer questions or take practice exams, you can see based on the statistics and how well you are doing or not how well you're doing, where your strengths and your weaknesses lie. Are you answering all the law and history questions really, really well and getting nearly all of those questions correct? Maybe you can then stop studying for that. And if you're getting sort of the planning ethics or planning theory questions not very well, then maybe you can put more effort into studying that material. So the statistics are built in to begin to let you know how you are doing and what areas you know well and what areas that are going to be on the exam that maybe you don't know quite as well. And planning prep, even though we've been doing this for more than 20 years for thousands of planners across the country, there's no official affiliation with the APA or AICP. Planning Prep has won some awards. In 2017, it won the Illinois Award for a planning project or tool. We have taught this course in person across the country at several state chapters, including Illinois, Kansas, Missouri, the National Capital Area chapter, that's in Washington, D.C., and the APA Texas chapter. And in addition to all the states where we deliver this, we've also taught it at several national conferences. In fact, every national conference since 2012, we've taught this in person or virtual if there wasn't one in person. And we've also done multiple AICP training webinars for the APA. So Devin, Trevor, and I have been doing this prep course in person and virtually for more than 20 years across the country and nationally. So we've got a pretty good perspective on what APA is looking for in terms of knowledge from planners. There are several benefits of becoming an AICP certified planner. There are several professional benefits. It demonstrates the value you bring to a planner, an employer as a professional planner to show you have certification. It's sort of an assurance to potential employers as to the quality of yourself as a planner with regard to your knowledge and skill set for the position you might be applying for or filling. And it shows that the AICP certification is a big factor for consideration, according to the APA. When different folks are looking to hire a planner, they look for and give preference to AICP certified planning professionals. From an economic perspective, AICP members, given equivalent years of experience and the type of work they do, make about $16,000 more a year than non-AICP members. And it strengthens the profession by putting planners on equal footing with other professions that require certification. Architects, engineers, LAs, and other professions require certification. So having the AICP as a certified planner, again, puts us on sort of equal footing and track in terms of perception and accreditation with other related or relatable planning professions or related professions. Some other benefits of becoming AICP: maintain and improve your skill set. Certified planners, when you get certified, pledge to maintain their standards and skills and education on an ongoing basis. And I'll get into that a little bit later. But getting certified is not the end of this. Getting certified is the beginning of a requirement to maintain accreditation by getting CM maintenance program points along the way. It helps planners stay relevant. According to the APA, 93% of AICP members say that certification meets or exceeds their expectations for helping them remain professionally current. And a majority of planning employers agree AICP planners tend to be more up to date on what is relevant and current with regard to issues that face communities across the country. And it shows your commitment to ethics. As an AICP certified planner, you're required to follow the AICP Code of Ethics. And according to the APA, close to 90% of planning employers report it's important that staff demonstrate this allegiance to ethics and ethical conduct professionally. It helps planners negotiate tough ethical and moral dilemmas in the workplace. And it really, again, it begins to demonstrate to potential employers and to others that you are committed to this ethical practice as a professional planner. So that was just a brief introduction as to some benefits of AICP certification and a little bit about Planning Prep, the website, and as a tool for preparing, and the three folks, myself, Devin, and Trevor, who are going to be, you'll be listening to over the next several hours if you go through and listen to all these different videos to help prepare. This next part of the introductory video is just how to prepare for the exam. There's no one right way to prepare for the exam, but one of the most important part of this video series is not to review the content, but to give you a good understanding as to what to expect as to what this exam will be like. Having done this for so long, having taught thousands of people, and having done this for over 20 years, we have a good sense of the exams that will be, the questions that will be on the exams. We don't know, we have no crystal ball, but as we go through this video series, if there's a topic or something that comes up that we think has a high certainty of being on the exam based off the last 20 years of experience, we will make a verbal note to you to pay attention to that in particular, because the likelihood of being that on the exam will be very, very high. And for a lot of you who may be more fresh out of school, taking exams might be a little bit more in your mind because it's a little bit more recent history. For those of you that maybe were out of school for a longer period of time, this might be a good refresher on how to prepare to take an exam. So there's a few common myths I want to go over right off the bat, and that is you can prepare for studying one book. There is not a single book that will provide you everything you need to know to pass this exam. There are several different reading materials that you need to draw from, and we will go through all of those that we think are most relevant as we go through this video series. Next one is that passing the exam is the end of the certification process. I mentioned that already. We'll be hitting this again a little bit later. Certification, passing the exam is the first step, but there is continuing maintenance that is required to maintain your certification. And that you can prepare the exam by memorizing information. Not true. A portion of the exam are components that you can memorize. History, law, key planning movements, key individuals in planning history. These are things you can memorize. But if on the exam they give you a situational example of like you're a planning director for a small town in Indiana and a developer says X, Y, and Z, how should you react? Or what would be your appropriate response as the professional planner for the city? That's not something you can memorize. That's situational awareness. It's how you apply your knowledge and how you apply your professional standing as a planner in that situation. So it's not something you can memorize. It's how you conduct yourself as a planner. So memorization alone will not get you through this exam. The structure of the exam is that it tests both knowledge and skills of the candidates for membership into AICP. Questions on the exam include scenarios that cover a wide range of subject matter. When we teach this in person, we'll often have anywhere from 25 to 200 people in the audience. And we'll go around the room and we will ask planners in the audience what area of planning they work in from the day-to-day basis. What do they specialize in or what do they focus on? And we hear everything from historic preservation to environmental sustainability to advocacy planning to housing to environmental planning to land use to zoning. We hear everything. Military planning. Well, this exam will test you on all of that. And some planners who work for cities may have a broader breadth of things they cover on a daily basis and will have a better grasp on these exam questions. Planners that specialize on like transportation planning, because that's what they do, are still going to have to be tested on a wide range of planning topics. So it covers a pretty wide subject matter area. And there are several questions that get repeated from year to year to year, and these are called equator questions. And that's why, like I said, when we go through this series, if there's a question or a topic, we know or have a very high likelihood of thinking it's going to be on the exam because it is every year. We will point that out to you. And the exam tests how you think as a planner. Like I said, it's not all memorization. Some of it is memorization, but some of it is, given this scenario, what should you do? That's not memorization. That's how you behave or what your skill set is as a professional planner. The structure of the exam is as follows. There's 170 multiple choice questions, 20 of which are pre-test and they don't count toward the score. So there's 150 questions that count toward the score. And no, the first 20 questions are not pre-test, and you can skip the first 20 and start on question 21. The pre-test questions are sprinkled into the exam, but 20 of the questions do not count toward your score. 170 questions total. Scores are reported on a scale of 25 to 75. and 55 is a passing score. There are two main areas of the types of questions you're going to be asked about. One is knowledge, that's 40%. Skills is 60%. Knowledge is the stuff you can memorize. In fact, knowledge is the stuff you'll have to memorize. Key dates in history, planning movements, planning pioneers, law cases. These are things that you have to memorize. Skills is how you apply professional practice in certain situations. These are the skills components. So memorization, knowledge, 40%. Skills, how you apply yourself in a professional setting or given a certain situation as a professional planner, 60%. The exam is 4 hours long, 3.5 hours for the 170 questions. The first half hour is the tutorial. You'll be going to a testing center. Make sure you know where the testing center is. I went to the wrong one when I first got AICP certified. Luckily, the other one was close by and I made it in time, and I went to the wrong building. And the person who's going to be proctoring or monitoring the exam will not be able to help you with any questions, clarity, or anything like that. So you're on your own when you get in there. After you submit your final exam, you will know instantly when you click submit. And you'll have time to go back and check your questions and flag ones to think more about it. But when you submit your exam, because you're all done, you will get a pass-fail or pass-fail score immediately. You used to have to wait 6 months, which was brutal. You'd have to wait for 6 months before you got that letter in the mail that said you passed or you didn't pass. And it was a rough 6 months. But now you know immediately if you pass or fail. So here's sort of the structure of the exam, and this is a new structure. The APA changes the structure exam a couple of times over the last 20 years. I think they've changed it 2 or 3 times. This is the new format. Research and assessment methods is 11% of the exam. Fundamental planning knowledge is 15%. Communication interaction, 13%. Plan and policy development, 15%. Plan implementation, 12%. Administration and management, 6%. Leadership, 6%. Areas of practice is 12%. And AICP Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct is 10%. There are 9 sections now. In the past, there have been 5 or 6 sections, and some sections have been as much as 30% of the exam. So the distribution of percent of the exam is now much more even across these 9 categories than sort of the disparity of percent of the exam under the old format. So you're supposed to choose the best answer. There isn't always a singular correct answer. One might be technically correct, but another answer might be a better answer. So prepare yourself for a seemingly endless number of examples of questions like this. Choose the best answer from the following, 1, 1 and 2, 1, 2 and 3, 1, 3 and 4. It's multiple choice, but it doesn't mean it's clean or clear or easy. It really is a complicated test in terms of the way a lot of these questions are structured. It reminds us of a cognitive reflection test as a type of question, and that is, it was designed to assess a specific cognitive ability. It assesses an individual's ability to suppress an intuitive, spontaneous response, like somebody asks a question and it seems obvious and right away you just want to jump in and answer it. But if you think about it a little bit and unpack it, you realize the right answer is something else. It's not the intuitive answer. And some of the questions on this exam remind us a little bit of that cognitive reflection test. You have to think about it a little bit and reflect on it to get at the right answer. It's not that first impulsive one. So here's a couple of examples of what I mean by a cognitive reflective test. A bat and a ball cost $1.10 in total. The bat cost $1, more than the ball. How much does the ball cost? So right away you think, well, one's $1.10, one's $1. It's easy, it's 10 cents. Well, it's 5 cents. Question 2, if it takes 5 machines 5 minutes to make 5 widgets, how long would it take 100 machines to make 100 widgets? Majority of people will instantly or very quickly say, well, 100 machines, 100 widgets, 100 minutes. If it's 5 machines, 5 minutes, 5 widgets. But the answer is it would take 5 minutes. 5 minutes is how long it takes to make the widget. So again, not the intuitive answer. Here's another example. In a lake, there's a patch of lily pads. Every day the patch doubles in size. If it takes 48 days to patch to cover the entire lake, how long would it take the patch to cover half the lake? A lot of people will half 48 and say, oh, it's 24 because it doubles. But it's not. How long does it take to cover half the lake? It takes 47 days. Because of 47 days, it's half the lake and it doubles, the next day it captures the entire other half of the lake. So again, not quite what you think it is. Question 4 is a better example of what to expect on the AICP exam. Question 4 states, which of these numbers is greater than 0? -1, 0, 1, and 2. Now you might look at this and think, well, which of these numbers is greater than 0? Well, 1 and 2 are both greater than 0, but you've got to pick one of these. And so the answer would be 2, because 2 is the most correct answer because it is the most greater than 0. Although technically 1 is a correct answer. So this is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but the APA can ask questions sometimes where technically there is more than one correct answer. This often happens in the ethics questions, but one answer is better, and it's the best answer. So remember, when you're choosing an answer, if you think there's more than one that's correct, choose the answer that is most correct answer given the question. And it's not always clear. So here's sort of one we say in joking. Which one of these is the correct way? Well, depends on who you ask, but APA probably has an opinion. So reading list advice. There's a lot of planning material out there that you can read. And it used to be not that long ago, a lot of this stuff was not available online. And you used to have to try to track down copies or pay for copies, and that was really tough. So a couple of things. There's no single book that's got all the magic answers that has everything you need. Here's the one book. I study this book. I'm good to go. That book doesn't exist. You also don't have to read every book we recommend or every book the APA recommends. You couldn't. You couldn't read some of these books and all these books in a lifetime. We're going to go over a lot of books. Every section we will identify recommended reading lists or reading materials that you should be looking at. If it's something you have a good working knowledge on, move on to something you don't. But we will identify places that you can go to study up more on topics you may need to be a little bit more refreshed on. Readings are intended to be guidelines. If we tell you to read a book on citizen participation, we don't expect you to memorize that book. And they're not going to quote you out of that book or test you on a quote. So you don't have to memorize these books. They're considered to be guidelines on these topics. And you don't have to read the entire book. Read the stuff that you don't know or use it as a reference material. And again, you can't prepare by memorizing stuff alone. So it's knowledge that has to seek into that brain of yours. There's no short reading list that can span the entire range of material. Like I said, transportation planning, historic preservation, environmental planning, zoning, financial planning, economic development, military planning. There's so many different aspects of planning. There is no list that can cover all this. We don't expect you to read everything. As a result, the list is not condensed substitute for professional planning. A lot of what you'll get tested on is experience from being a planner in different scenarios and what it's like to actually be a functioning planner in the profession, and the education you receive to become a planner. So it's not all about what you read. Subject matter. Questions are drawn only in similar subject matter context from these readings. They're not going to, again, quiz you directly or test you with a question directly out of these readings. It's, related subject matter. Readings are available for download on the web in many cases. And a lot of these books are probably found in your local planning office, library, or the cubicle next to yours, or in your school's library. So a lot of these books are available, if not available, for downloading online. And the reading list is shown in groups to allow you to focus on the different types of topics. So when we hit a topic in this video series, we'll identify the different types of books and reading materials you ought to be looking into. Some of our key recommendations are these. These are books you should probably have in your personal library of planning books. If not, get them for this one. So The Practice of Local Government Planning, it's that green book there. For decades, this was called the Green Bible. You find that old white-haired person in your office who's been a planner since the 70s. You say the Green Bible, they'll all know what you're talking about. And then in the infinite wisdom of whoever decided to do this, when they updated that Green Bible, they made it yellow. So the newer version of that, Local Planning, Contemporary Principles and Policies 2009, is that yellow book. The Ethical Planning Practitioner 2016, Ethics is Crucial. It's a big part of the exam. This is stuff you will have to know verbatim. The AICP Code of Ethics, not this book. And we'll be going into this in later video sections. But this is a great book for you to read. Other ones are Planning Theory for Practitioners, Planning and Urban Design Standards, and then there's lists of essential reading materials published on the APA website. And they've got 100 essential books for planners that you can look at. Again, not expecting you to read them all. Here in our office and over the last several years, one of the books that we think is absolutely just essential to have, and it should be sitting on your desk or somewhere in your planning professional office, is the one that you see there in the middle, Planning and Urban Design Standards, that blue book. It's a great book. It carries over a lot of what we think is good from the Green Bible, but also gets into some of the design aspects and standards. But that's a great book to have. Suggested steps to kick off your studying. Contact your local PDO. As you watch this series, you'll get to see Trevor Dick present some of these sections. He was the PDO for Illinois for years and received that national award as an outstanding PDO. PDO is your point person. If you have any questions, need some advice, want to get direction on maybe other materials that you think you're missing, maybe want to reach out to try to form a study group with other people in your area, contact your state chapter PDO. They're a great source. That's who you want to go to find out what local sessions are being offered in your state and where you can begin to start exams as well as other tests. Some states have their own prep materials and libraries and reading lists, timelines for planning movements, but certain states have a lot of good information, so contact your PDO. Map your studying. Review the exam content online to understand what the exam is going to include. Balance your exam prep for each category. If there's a category you know really well, and every time you take those tests, you knock it out of the park, then spend your time studying something else. Plan on studying over several months. This is not something you can cram for. Start picking it off over a long time. Create a study plan and when, where, and how often you plan to study. Doesn't have to be daunting, but you want to methodically begin to take down these topics. And then select your resources. Certification exam prep sources, it's important. A lot of people use planning prep. A lot of people use books. A lot of people form study groups. State chapters have very good resources. There are a number of different things that you can begin to do, but begin putting together your catalog of resources to begin studying. Planning prep, again, is a very good one. There are also other online planning resources. Over the last few years, APA has really stepped up its game to provide online planning resources as well. Find online sources. Again, here are several different things in this middle column that are available online. Used to be a lot of the stuff you had to pay for, like PAS reports. That's our Planning Advisory Service reports available through the APA website, planning.org. Planning Magazine is a great study guide. Every once in a while, Planning Magazine, which comes out, will have a food issue or an equity issue or a sustainability issue or climate and resiliency issue. So if Planning Magazine comes out with an issue devoted to a topic, it's a good idea to read up on that topic, because if APA deems it important enough to have an whole issue of the magazine devoted to it, likely they're going to be asking questions about it. Selected readings from the AICP certification exam, we will go after those. The APA has a series of policy guides. Those are great sources to find out the APA's position on things, as well as topics that they think are relevant and current and meaningful to planning today. AICP Code of Ethics. We will cover this later in its own video session, Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct. This is the one thing you pretty much got to know verbatim. And Devin Levine will be going over this section later. But know it, learn it, love it, live it. You will be expected to know every aspect of the Code of Ethics, what each section covers, what the requirements are, basically verbatim. This is very important. National Planning Pioneers, Planning and Law Division, American Planning History since 1900. There's a great timeline that's available that sort of shows over the last 100 plus years how planning has evolved in key threshold and key moments in planning history. You'll need to know that. And then again, check your APA chapter website. Some of them are very good. And then practice exams. There are several practice exams. Take the practice exams. You'll see how well you do. You'll get used to the cadence. You'll get used to the types of questions. The APA provides some on their own website. The AICP exam illustrative questions, the APA has them. And again, the Planning Prep website has 12 exams and over 1,600 questions. So practice taking questions, don't just study. Additional advice, start studying as early as possible. Don't wait. Focus on your weak areas. If there are things that you know well, reassure that you know them well by testing on them. If they're easy for you, move on to areas that you do not know. Don't get caught in the trap of studying the stuff you're already good at because it makes you feel good. Study the stuff you're not good at. Try to join a study group. A lot of people swear by this. Think in terms of national perspective. Understand sort of the process of city council, plan commission, zoning board of appeals, planning staff, developers, residents, neighborhood groups. If you work in a community that has a joint architectural review committee, zoning board of appeals, plan commission, whatever, and it's a combined sort of an odd group that your city has, they're not going to test you on that because nobody else has that group. They're going to test you on national perspective. City council, plan commission, zoning board of appeals, professional planning staff. That's sort of a typical system because that's 95% of communities. So think in terms of national perspective. And again, like I already joked about this, know where your test center is. So with regard to the AICP certification, this has changed over the years a little bit. And this is the newest version. It's called One Path. Qualified members can begin the path to AICP certification while earning the required professional planning experience. It used to be that you could only take the exam after you had a sufficient number of years of experience. Then you could take the exam. That's no longer the case. Now you can take the exam, and then after the exam, accrue your years of experience. Once you've accrued your years of experience, you get AICP certification. So I'll walk through this a little bit. The first step in the One Path approach is to register for the exam and schedule the exam. The second thing is to take the exam and pass it to become an AICP candidate. And then once you've gotten your AICP candidate by passing the exam, then you provide to APA the educational and professional experience needed to get certification. So these are sort of the three steps. So first one is register. You'll abide by the AICP Code of Ethics. You agree to the certification agreement. You schedule your in-person or online remote appointment to take the exam. And you pass the exam, step 2. Pass the exam, and then that earns you AICP candidate designation. And you can use this, the AICP candidate. You can't say AICP, you got to say AICP candidate until you complete step 3. But you can use the AICP candidate to begin to let people know that you're in the process of getting AICP certified. And then after you pass the exam and you've earned your AICP candidate status, you have to earn the required amount of professional planning experience, the years of professional experience. And for some of you, when you take the exam, you may already have the experience. So as soon as you take the exam and get your candidate status, you can submit your work experience to get it. Other people might say, boy, I'm fresh out of school. I've got 3 years of work I have to do. And you're a candidate until you submit and meet the work experience requirements. So you register for the exam, you pass the exam, you become an AICP candidate. Once you're a candidate, you submit then your required years of professional experience. Maybe you're prepared to do it right away. Maybe it'll take a couple of years. And as soon as you submit your experience and it meets the requirement, then the candidate designation drops off and you are just AICP certified. If you want more explanation as to this One Path, you can go to the AICP certification guide, which is available on APA's website at planning.org/certification/register. And it'll walk you through this, including the number of years of experience required, et cetera, et cetera. Once you get certified, like I said before, there's certification maintenance programs. You have to stay current on an ongoing basis. So certifications are called CM credits. So certification maintenance gives the AICP credential lasting value and meaning. You not only maintain your AICP certification, but you also get greater impact in your work, and you stay current on planning issues and topics. It'll keep your skills and knowledge up to date and trends to current, and it will equip you as a professional to respond in your community no matter what you face. Over a 2-year period, you have to accrue 32 CM credits. So you have to get 32 certification maintenance credits over a 24-month period. If you ever go to a national conference or a state conference, or your local chapter gives a lecture, you'll often say like 1.5 CM credits or 2 CM credits. And that means if you attend that session, you'll get 2 credits or 1.5 credits for attending that session or seminar or conference session. And you have to accrue 32 of those points within that 2-year period if you want to maintain your certification. A minimum of 1.5 credits has to be on the topic of ethics, and a minimum has to be 1.5 credits has to be on law. Starting actually now, they're also going to be requiring AICP ethics credits, 1 credit hour per year on ethics, law, equity, and sustainability. It used to be the 1.5, for ethics and law. But now if you see that last bullet in the second column, beginning January 1, so that was a little while ago, you must earn 1 hour per year CM credit toward the topic of ethics, law, equity and sustainability, and resilience. And when you see a session posted, it will tell you in the CM credit identifier if it qualifies as an ethics, law, equity, or resiliency credit. But if you don't maintain these over 24 months and you don't get your 32 credits, you could lose you'll get noticed, but you could lose your AICP certification and would have the joy of taking the exam over again to get certification activated. So that's a quick introduction. That's who you're going to be seeing over the course of this video series, myself, Devin Levine, and Trevor Dick. Again, we've done this for the last 20 years across the country, consistently every year. And most of the people that go through our course have a much higher rate of passing the exam based on statistics. So start studying now. Best of luck to you, and I look forward to presenting to you with the other 2 members following sessions. Thanks so much, and good luck.